Yeah. So in this one, according to the Bible and according to Jesus specifically, if you get what I'm presenting here, if you understand it, you're probably an extraterrestrial. Now, that's going to sound very weird, but I'll give you biblical evidence. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment below. And this, by the way, is going to be posted later. So there's no one in the chat yet, but we'll get right into it. So the Bible says, Jesus said specifically, the world hated you, and it would only, and the word hated is in modern terms incorrectly translated. The best word to use if you're going to use modern colloquial understandings in English, American English, would mean the world rejects you, the world misunderstands you, the world vilifies you, because you're not part of this world. You're not from this world. Now, a lot of Christian apologetics people, apologists, and philosophers who use the Bible to ensnare humans and keep them in the slave-like state will say, well, this verse is a reference to the spiritually, you're not part of the worldly mindset. And that's complete stupidity and malarkey. It makes no sense at all. Um, you know, it makes no fucking sense. So I'm going to go through why the Bible says you're an extraterrestrial or an alien or an HI. But I want to make it very clear. I'm not talking about little green men. I'm not talking about Nordics or Greys or, extraterrestrials in that sense. I'm talking about the essence of what you are. Now, I understand where the Christians are coming from, a lot of the mainstream Christians, with this idea that your mindset, your expectations, your beliefs are not worldly. And there's some validity to that, there's some value to that. But even within the church, the moralistic mindset, the satanic mindset, according to the Bible, the satanic mindset defined based on how the Bible defines Satanism, not Anton LaVey's version, but the biblical version of Satanism, that has infused Christianity. That has become so much a part of the church that um, it's hard to distinguish Christianity from just mainstream everyday stuff. So think of it this way: geopolitical Christians are alien in the sense that, okay, look, you can have a job, but I'm going to use this analogy because it works best. It's like, imagine that you're an alien, you're an extraterrestrial, and you reach Earth, you get out of your ship. Aliens don't come here on ships, by the way. And you meet a human, and then you have technology that can tell you everything about the Earth. And this human tells you, uh, you say to this human, "Hey, can you show me your planet? Let me meet your leaders," or something like that. And then the human says, "I got to run to work." And then the alien, you as the alien, would say, "Well, what's work?" And then the human would say, "Well, I have a job. I have to go and do things." And then the alien would say, "Hello." I'll finish the analogy. I'll jump in the chat. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks for the love. And then the alien would say, "So what's a job?" And then you would say, "Well, it's this place that you go so you can get money and you can buy like food and have a home to live in and things like that." And the alien would say, "Okay, wait, but food is growing everywhere. Like there's food right there. There's food everywhere." And then you say, "Oh, but like, yeah, but we can't really eat it." And then being an alien, you would look at your device and say, "Well, there's food everywhere and it grows for free. Why would you go to the job? So what's a job?" And they say, "Well, yeah, it's a place you go to get money." "What do you do at that place that you get money?" "Well, you do work." "Okay. Well, what does that mean?" And if you really think about it, when you get to that level, I'm not going to go too deep in it, but if you start to think like an alien, like I did when I was a little kid, the idea of a job made no sense to me. The idea of marriage made no sense to me. So food grows everywhere. I can take this little seed, put it in the ground, and then lots and lots of food will come from it, and more seeds will come from it. So the idea of doing a job and these sorts of things, what I'm saying is there are mainstream expectations for us as humans. And when you're not of this world, when you're an ET, like Jesus was, like you are, like I am, like all of us are in a way, you realize that there are expectations in society and in the world that do not make sense to you. And the only reason that you go along with them is because everybody else is doing it. And so, as I've gotten older, I've kind of gone back to my ET self. I've gone back to my extraterrestrial alien perspective. And I hate using those words, but they're the best words to describe it. And the idea is, okay, everyone expects me to do ABC. But when I do ABC, and I did for 20 or 30 years, I feel dead inside. I don't want to continue going. Life feels awful. So why would I continue to do that? So the alien, going back to the analogy, says, well, can you get money to buy food and shelter in another way than doing a job? He said, yeah, of course you can. And then the alien would say, can you do it in a way that you enjoy? Well, yeah, of course you can. Do you enjoy your job? No, I hate it. So if you can make money, if you can get money in a way other than going to a job, why do you go to a job? Why don't you go find a way to make money in a way that you enjoy? So anyway, I guess the analogy makes sense. Let me jump in the chat real quick. All right, Mercedes Batista, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Tori Smith, please shout me out. Tori Smith, welcome, welcome. Hello, Tori Smith. Shout out. All right, Mercedes, hello, hello. And said hi to you earlier. Yeah, so I was just going through my analogy there. The Bible, Jesus says that we are extraterrestrial. And by the way, not everybody's an extraterrestrial. There are a lot of people that are just part of the scenery. They're NPCs or scenery people, right? They don't really have a lot going on for them. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're beautiful, they're lovable, and you should respect them as conscious entities, even if they may not be conscious. But Jesus lets us know that, listen, you're my followers, and as a result of being my followers, you're probably not gonna fit in. You're probably gonna be outsourced or you're probably gonna be ousted and marginalized and disliked. Deal with it. That's okay. It's okay. You're gonna stand out. So I'm gonna read the couple of verses that talk about us being ETs. And I'm using that. I mean, come on. I'm not talking about little green men. I'm not talking about the stupid drones that were floating around over the cities in New Jersey and stuff. Ana Puentes, welcome back. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. We're talking about how if you're understanding what I'm putting out here, you're probably an ET. You're probably an NHI or an extraterrestrial alien. Um, and I'm saying that just I mean it kind of, but I'm not saying it in the sense of a little green man or a gray alien or Nordic or something like that, because I don't believe in those things, even though I've seen them. I don't think they're real. What I mean is your essence, the very essence, your personality, your spirit, the frequency that makes up the animating principle in you is not from this world. You are from the source code. You are from the source of life. You are from the creator. You're from God himself. You were not made of the essence of this earth. You were made of the essence of God. And that's what makes you extraterrestrial or beyond this world or from outside of this world. So there are verses in the Bible that demonstrate this or say this. And Jesus said, to his followers, look, I'm not from this world, and neither are you. And so don't be surprised if people treat you like shit, because that's just how it goes. And so in John 15, verses 18 through 19, Jesus says, if the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. And the word there is poorly translated, right? The word just means ostracized, marginalized, rejected. So when you go on in life and people don't get you and they don't understand or support or believe in you, or when you say something like, I'm going to go and pursue this dream, and then people say, what? You should just go get a job. What's wrong with you? Uh, that's what Jesus is talking about. Or when you say, I don't know, I want to go and basically when you have bigger aspirations than most people in the world, that's what Jesus is talking about. Then Jesus goes on to say in John 15, verse 19, he says, if you were from the world, if you were in this world or of this world, the world would love you as its own. Okay? But because you're not from this world, I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore, the world hates you or rejects you or marginalizes you. Let's check in on Ana Puentes. What is your favorite color, and do you have a son? Ana Puentes. My favorite color is cerulean, a blue-leaning cerulean, but I like cerulean. And I do have a son. I have many sons. I have many sons. All right, no, but I have one son. All right. So like I was saying, Jesus is saying, you were chosen by me. You geopolitical Christians, you apex humans were chosen by me. I chose you. I made you special. I separated you out from the rest of the world. And as a result, you're not from this world. Now you're in the world, but you're not from it. Then you go ahead to John 17, verse 14 through 19. And it says, I have given them thy word. Jesus is speaking to God. He's praying to the Creator. And the world hath hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but thou shouldest keep them from the evil in the world. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. So, John 17:14 through 19, it goes on and on. Jesus says multiple times, they're in this world, but not from this world. They're in this world, but not of this world. So Jesus says further in verse 17, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. As thou hast sent me into the world, even so have I also sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they might be sanctified through the truth. So Jesus is talking about his followers. His followers, I use the term geopolitical Christian. If you go to the church, you know the church is not full of Jesus's followers. That's not rocket science. People in the church know this. People that are running the church know this, okay? It's not rocket science. And nobody's hiding that. No one's saying that, our church works. We're the ones that got it right. I mean, there's some churches that say that, but everybody knows they're lying, okay? Even the people that are saying that. They're just saying that because they can get your tithe and they can keep functioning as a 501c3. The Orthodox Christians kind of allude to the fact that they're the chosen church, or they explicitly say it, but they're also wrong. Jesus is speaking about a specific group of people, an apex group of humans that are directly connected to the source code. And so they know what the next steps are. They know how to move forward in their lives with flow, with flourishing, and with peace, with harmony, with joy. They know how to do that. And the reason they know how to do this is because they haven't lost their connection to God. And so you're in this world, but not of it. The world doesn't get you and doesn't understand you. And it probably marginalizes you. And most people are just like, they're mindless worms. They're walking around feeding their gut and feeding their genitals, and that's about it. And there's a part of you that could buy into that. You could get lost in the cycle of being a worm, of just feeding your face, pushing it out the other end, and feeding your genitals and feeding your emotions, and not ever recognizing that there's more to this story. You could get stuck in the cycle of just, feeding the meat, feeding the beast, feeding the animal, feeding the worm. Or you could recognize the divine power that you have to create harmony, to bring heaven onto earth. We didn't come here to live and to suffer and to die and then go to heaven. That's not why we're here. We live here to bring heaven here. That's what we do as geopolitical Christians, as apex humans. We bring heaven to earth. So, with that said, if you feel like an outsider, that's because you are an outsider. If you feel like an alien, that's because you are an alien. Christ loves you and loves you in your weirdness, in your strangeness. Apex humans are the lords and ladies of the earth. We are the gods and goddesses of reality. And it's a strange thing because you don't start off that way. It's like you might start off among the worms, squiggling around like everyone else, feeding your face, pushing it out the other end, chasing emotion, chasing the approval and the acceptance of others. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being part of the scenery. But at some point, something awakens in you and says, there's more to life. I can manipulate reality. I can shape my world. And then you start to play with that power and you start to recognize that there's so much more to life than what I've been told. And that awakening is the anointing. That is Christ within. That is when you have that awakening. And that's what the Bible is talking about. John, the Gospel of John is the most important gospel for geopolitical Christians, pretty much. But it's the gospel that says, you are gods. In John 10:34 and 35, you are gods. It's not talking about gods in the sense of like Zeus on the mountaintop or the Olympians. It's speaking about those who have the ability to shape reality, to alter reality, to and to do so in a harmonious way, to fit into the flow of life, and to take from life and to find in life what fits their highest desires, what fits their highest calling. And so Jesus is all about that. So apex humans are the lords and ladies of the earth. We are in this world, but not of it. We are the ETs. We are the extraterrestrials. And by the way, disclosure does not happen by ships coming out of the sky with lights and plasma fields and all this bullshit. It's not real. It's not real at all. When you're seeing ships in the sky and things like that, those are just other cultures, other civilizations that are more advanced than the one that you find yourself enslaved to. You're stuck inside a loop. You're stuck inside a loop of feeding the face and pushing out the other end, feeding the genitals and pushing out the other end. That's all that humans are kind of encouraged to do in their churches, in their synagogues, in their mosques, in their temples, and wherever. They perpetuate that. But disclosure, alien ships in the sky and floating things, and all of that stuff. It doesn't happen by all of that. That's not real. A lot of that stuff is, like I said, just technology that we developed, humans developed, smart people, but people that were not stuck in the worm loop of the reality in which we find ourselves. And so when you get out of that loop and you realize, oh wait, there's more to being a worm in the dirt. There's more than being a maggot in a pile of shit. There's more to life than that. There's more to life than that. And then when you put your face back in the shit with all the other maggots, you're like, oh, this isn't for me. Out of here. I'm more than this. And so then you go through the trials and that is the death and resurrection that geopolitical Christians go through, that every single one of us experiences. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. I keep getting a call. I think I'll check in on it, but stay on your path, stay in your grind, and stay focused. And yeah, remember, you're in this world, but not of it. And a lot of the ideas and expectations that you have of life transcend the worm reality. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, and there's also nothing wrong with the worms. Worms are worms. That's their nature. There's nothing wrong with them. But when you wake up, you stop being a worm, you become a caterpillar, and then you become a chrysalis. So you create the chrysalis around you and you become a butterfly. It's part of evolution. We're all going to go through it. We all go through it. And you have to pace yourself. Understand that worms will never understand the experience or the expectations of a butterfly. And if you are to be the butterfly, if you are to transcend, if you are to go through the chrysalis experience, you will die. You will be dissolved. And your relationships with the worms will fall apart as well. And you'll never be able to look at the world through the worm's point of view ever again. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Be well, and thanks for watching. Make sure you drop a like if you're in the group, and I'm going to click out. Bye.